It's me, Zenobia Darling. You're listening to hashtag Rockstar Life, the Coffee Break podcast. Let's go. Where the hell's my cold brew at?
Ooh, what's up, guys? It's me, Zenobia Darling. So for this episode, it's actually a two-part episode. I sat down with a good friend of mine. I have been working with her for about a year. She's amazing. Her name's Evita. She asked me not to use her last name, but she's from Nigeria, and she lived in South Africa. Now she lives in Baltimore to go to college. And we just click. She's a pop culture intellectual. We talk for hours, always when we work together. So I decided, let's finally get her on the podcast. So we just kind of sat down and I just pressed record and started talking. So I didn't do any of the professional podcasting stuff of like introducing or anything like that. Just because, I mean, we just had a flow going and we talked and I recorded for about 3 hours. So this is about two episodes out of her. But I hope you guys enjoy my conversation with Evita. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast feed to get part 2 out next week. And without further ado, here's a video. We're jumping right in talking about South Africa and kind of what her experience was in Johannesburg and what my experience was, and just kind of talking about it. And it does get real and it does get really fun. So have fun. Let's get into it.
I think the only thing with Joburg is that the criminals are a little bit more creative than here.
That is very true.
So in Johannesburg, if you don't have anything to give them, okay, take off your shoes.
Yep.
They snatch wigs and everything.
Oh, God, yes. Oh, yes.
So that's the only thing. But
where in Joburg did you live?
I lived in Malbarton area.
Okay.
So it wasn't Joburg North, it was Joburg South.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I was in Melville.
Yeah. That's like towards the north. So I didn't live in Joburg North, I lived in Joburg South. The smallest place, everybody knows everybody.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah. And every time we went to the north, it's just like...
You're like, wait a minute. You got to so out. You're like, what is this?
Not that I didn't live in the suburbs. I'm not even going to pretend but Joburg North is like a whole dreamscape. Like...
Well, Joburg has a good art scene.
Yeah.
That's one thing about Melville that I was like... Well, also... I didn't know it was a gayer part, but we go down that strip and there's Rats, the bar, and I was like, that's a gay club. And everyone's like, no, it's not. I'm like, I just know. I just know. Go there. They're doing drag cabaret, and like the South African queens are like amazing live singing. And I was like, what? I told you. I told everybody.
Very live and jump-in gay scene in Joburg. In South Africa, it's been like that because it wasn't always a time where anything was allowed, in fact. But yeah, music scene is jumping, art scene is jumping. Yeah. People like to party. People like to have a good time. People like to enjoy their life. The food's amazing. Food is great.
Oh, the food's good.
That is one thing that when I moved here, I was just like, oh God.
Yeah. I miss braai.
Yeah.
I want a good braai. I love it. And anymore, like, I don't want to do an American barbecue. Let's do some braai.
Yeah, let's have a boerewors roll.
Oh, ooh, God, you're making me hungry.
Boerewors roll. So when I moved here, people ask me, like, oh, do you know how to speak Afrikaans? Because that's the only language that people know from there, right? Even though there's 11 other languages.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, the answer is yes, I do know.
You do know how to speak Afrikaans? I do know how
to speak Afrikaans. Ooh. I do. I think that...
Well, it's a mix of English, Dutch, and like, I want to say Zulu or something.
The other languages that people had around there. I think the only thing is that me specifically, it's kind of like a unicorn. A lot of black children resisted learning Afrikaans because it's still like...
The apartheid government forced, all the black kids and colored people to learn it.
Yeah. And unfortunately, it's not like when it ended... It kind of phased out. There wasn't really a plan to phase it out.
Well, yeah.
So some schools just kept it, but then other schools, they added, so you don't have to do Afrikaans as a second language. You can choose Zulu, Sotho, whatever you want to do. But my school had Afrikaans. So I'm the type of person where if I'm going to do it, I might as well.
You can speak. I mean, I would say it's good to speak in every language. So I have a question, because this was something about apartheid that we had to answer when we were over there. Do you think apartheid ended in 1994, or do you think it just morphed?
This is such an interesting question. And how controversial.
Hey, I always say,
I mean, we're gonna be honest.
This is our opinions, and
Right.
I'm a drag queen in UFO. You're a queen of Baltimore.
I don't reflect the views of anybody but myself. I think that short ended when Nelson Mandela came.
We can talk about Nelson Mandela.
Child, we can. But when Nelson Mandela came and was president and everybody was just like, kumbaya, let's all hold hands, everything is forgotten. That didn't do anything about systemic racism.
It didn't.
At all. Like,
it didn't.
At least, not even at least, but at least in America, they tried to address it. So they built different branches, different organizations. I'm sorry, y'all, I'm sick. They build different branches, different organizations.
Season. Well, they already had me hacking up my lungs, so it's all good.
But Nelson Mandela was basically just like, yeah, we forgive and forget.
And then he went on Oprah and got propped up as this like peaceful old grandfather. Then you learn the actual history of Nelson Mandela, and you're like, he was a lot of fun back in the day, it seemed like. Yeah. But like, that image is not who he is.
I think it changed. I think
it did too.
In the beginning, he very much was a freedom fighter, right?
Yeah.
He very much was somewhere between when he went to prison and came out. I don't know who got to him, but somebody did.
Yeah. And then he kind of got bought by like the political system because like the African National Congress is not doing, like, don't get me started on them. Because I'm like, the National Congress that was like in the fall of apartheid to now is completely different. And you're seeing like a radical shift in the youth of the country that are resistant to.
I mean, it's the same here where people would be like, well, you guys are lazy. We were talking about it with parents, right? Yeah. Where parents will be like, well, your generation is lazy. Yeah. You guys don't ever want to do anything. But it's just like, first of all, houses were like $12,000. Yeah. College was like $3,000 a year at like Harvard. Yeah. And it's like, you guys don't ever want to do anything. You guys are lazy. But the economy is completely different. Much. Everything costs so much. Nobody wants to hire. And then even if you get hired, nobody wants to pay well, as you know.
Exactly. Oh, yeah. I know that. We have been fighting us, yes.
And nobody wants to pay you what you're worth.
Yes.
And what you invested into your education.
Bitch better have my money.
Like, and so it's just like, why would I go out, wake up early, commute 30 plus minutes to a job, which is gas, right? For you to pay me minimum wage. Yeah. I'd rather not do it.
Yeah.
People are doing makeup. People are doing hair. People are doing nails.
There's a good creative economy in South Africa. Yeah. That's one thing I do really like. That's where I got a lot of my skills from because it is so prevalent over there. I mean, people work for themselves. They're not working for these places. Like,
I mean, I'm saying I had a new hairstyle every month.
Yeah. Girl, you still do.
That is true.
You still do.
Now, I won't lie and say braids are not $400 here in America, which is like side eye a little bit. That's a different conversation. But I still change my hair. I complain about it. Yeah. But I
what you're rocking right now, you got some honey blonde, some copper.
Yeah. Some like, it's red, but it's not red.
Yeah. Yeah. It's good though.
Thank you.
I like it.
Thank you. I want to dye blonde, but Derek in his expertise.
Well, you wanted to bleach it. And I was like, just get a wig.
I called you Derek. We have to edit that out.
No, you can call me Derek. It's fine. We'll leave it in. My government name.
And his expertise was like, well, don't bleach your hair, darling.
Don't.
I'm glad you told me that because
especially with the hair texture and the color of it. I mean, you would have to use like a strong developer. Yeah. You probably have to do 2 processes plus toning. By that second toning treatment, your hair will be coming out in the
and
bowl.
I did say I wear, and I wear my hair curly. So if like I got heat damage, I was just gonna fall to the ground, become nothing. You know what's interesting about apartheid when you brought it up? I always think about Elon Musk because he's a big topic.
Well, he is South African. People forget that.
Quote unquote.
I'll tell you that. Okay, I'm gonna edit this out, but I do have an Elon story. Okay. But like he's been friends with Elon for years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Lore.
But that's my Elon story.
Elon is always asking.
Yeah.
They're always asking him. So.
But you were talking about Elon and apartheid?
I was saying his parents moved just when apartheid ended, I want to say. I can't remember the exact year. And every time they ask him, well, why did your parents move? Well, it was just becoming his parents are probably war criminals. They're probably criminals.
They probably are apartheid government officials.
Probably apartheid government officials.
Because like that's the other thing about Troye Sivan that pisses me off is because he's from Joburg. His family is from Joburg, and they moved to Melbourne, Australia when it got dangerous in 1994.
That's always anytime you ask children of parents who moved, that's always the answer. Well, it was too dangerous for us, and it's just like, why?
Why was it?
Why was it?
Why was it?
Well, police was after us. Why?
Exactly. And when you go over there, like, I mean, yeah, like you get a very like Americanized version of apartheid in America, but when you go over there and like we were actually talking to people who knew Mandela, who were exiled from the apartheid regime, stuff like that. When you actually talk about the shit the apartheid government did specifically to colored and black people, it's disgusting. It's on a whole other level that I don't think a lot of people understand. And that's what makes me really mad.
I think.
And then you wonder why it's dangerous. I'm like, yeah, well, they had 70 years of dealing with that bullshit.
It gets very glossed over. Even how it's taught, right?
Even on The Crown, when they were talking about Margaret Thatcher and the Queen in the 80s, I felt like they were whitewashing over. I mean, Gillian Anderson definitely gave Margaret like the edit she deserved when talking about it. But like, even with that, I'm like, can we talk about the fact that they had gang, like literal like white people in Cadillacs going around randomly shooting black people walking down the street? Like, can we talk about the level of depravity that was the apartheid regime?
When we talk about racism upheld by a country, like active racism, even with people like to say here like, oh, slavery was 400 years ago, you guys should just get over it, right? Even with segregation, the KKK, it will be like cartoonishly level stuff that you can't believe this is real life.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy. That's why I'm like, it's like, I didn't mean to take it to that, but it's like, you talk about South Africa, and the other thing is though, is like how recent it was. Yeah. It was 1994.
Yeah. People have older
I was
siblings.
born in 1991, meaning I was alive during apartheid. Yeah. I was in America, but like.
So that's the thing. We have this, it's almost like this thing where it's like white comfort. Mm-hmm. I'm sure you even know in your own space of being queer. Like, it's like this thing of comfort where, not even to necessarily say you just always bring it up to make people uncomfortable, but if we're talking about something, like, let's actually talk about it, And so it'll be like, now I know you were alive during this time, even if you were a child. Your parents were there. I had an art teacher once. I almost said his name, but shout out. Ooh. Shout out to him.
I do have listeners in South Africa. They'll dig this shit. I'm telling you.
Shout out to him. But I had an art teacher, and I was in the 6th or 7th. No.
Were you in Joburg at this time?
Yeah, I was in Joburg. So I was still in high school. So I was in grade 8 or grade 9. And I remember artists are absolutely insane. I love you, but I'm not.
A bunch of them, and normally the more graffiti based they are, the more feral they are.
Yeah,
and they're all like cats.
And he was a musician. His art style was very surrealism-esque. And he was a musician. Like, he was absolutely insane. And so I remember one time he was having a conversation. Like, we're trying to do our charcoal drawings. We're having a conversation. He goes, what I appreciate about these days is that we can talk about difficult conversations people can't have. So we all look up, like, what is it today? And he says, like, if you talk about white people in apartheid, right, and normal, quote unquote, civilian white people, we can just say to a certain extent they were just following the law. And he's talking about them not going out of their way or doing anything to stop the government. Basically,
they were safe, so they were complacent.
But he was basically saying, well, it's the government that's upholding these things. The normal, quote unquote, white people were just living their lives. Yeah. And everybody was just silent because what do you even say to that? I don't even think...
Like...
why are you thinking about this? Yeah. I'm like trying to do my charcoal, and he was like, well, we can't really say anything because they were basically following the law. And it's things like this that don't bring change. You don't have to break the law to protest.
You don't
have to break the law to protest. There are people that lost their lives for this stuff. Nobody was saying go out and sacrifice your life, even though to a certain extent, sometimes people need to be willing to die for something. Yeah. You do. And
like a lot of times, like, I mean, I look at like Hector Peterson, like I'm sure, and it's like stuff like that where I'm like, that kid did not set out to die. He was a kid who just didn't want to learn Afrikaans because he's like, he probably had a learning disability. He probably already had like, trauma going on because he lived in Soweto, and it was like stuff like that where I'm like, people have died. Like, there are people that are wiped off the face of the earth due to this bullshit. And it's like, it's crazy.
So for him to say that, I was just like, so then it makes me think, so transitioning out of apartheid, right? Are you still just comfortable? Like, so when we start reversing laws, when we start saying, you can't talk about somebody's hair like that. Yeah. You can't call this person a slur. Yeah. You can't. And it's like, these are the same people that are like, well, you guys now want to make everything woke. When I was growing up, nothing was this. These are the same people that lived in the quote unquote comfort that he was talking about. When you try to say, okay, we're not going to do this anymore because these are people.
Yeah.
These are human beings. We're not going to dehumanize them anymore. Well, when I was growing up, this wasn't. Everybody's just so sensitive nowadays. There are people that still call Native American people Indians.
Yeah.
It's just like...
Well, the thing about South Africa that always amazed me was like, people would just say, I'm biracial. Like, I'm two things. And it's like stuff like that where I feel like here that gets like a little like, what? Like, what? Then what are the two races? But it's like people there are really comfortable saying they're biracial. And also like, I don't think like there's like a whole rainbow of people over there. Like you have so many, because like it was the British and Dutch empires. So you had people from the middle. You've Cape Malayan.
Cape Malayans, yeah.
You know, in Cape Town, like, you know, like I definitely enjoyed my fair share of them. But but you know, it's like you don't just have like black, you have, you know, more brown, you have yellow, you have white, you have a mix of, it's a melting pot, but also the white percentage that were in power were like 10%.
And then we talk about that one is not even majority. Like,
yeah, it's not a majority.
Marginalized. Then you start talking about how we're marginalized.
And then you go back to the literature and you find that apartheid government started in around 1947, and you read some of the founders and guess where they're from.
Yeah.
They were Austrian, Hungarian, German, and Polish from a certain regime from World War II. So it's like, it makes sense. And not only that, the German government tested out concentration camps in Namibia.
Yeah.
And
you know, a lot of people don't know that.
Yeah, a lot of people don't.
The Belgium and German government, we give a lot of flack to the UK as they should be given flack.
Well, I mean, Africa just was carved up by all of Western Europe.
Yeah, and the UK just had the whole world. They said something crazy, a crazy statistic. Like, once upon a time, the Queen owned, quote unquote, 97% of all the land on Earth.
Never set on the British Empire.
What? So, but we don't talk about the other.
Yeah.
We don't talk about Belgium.
Yeah.
Belgium, the King Leopold, whatever, killed like 10 million Congolese people. We don't talk about that. We don't talk about Germany and Namibia. Yep. A lot of people don't know this. And so this is why I always encourage that even if you're from a specific country, go and learn your history. Go read about it.
Outside and go learn what your country did to other, like, especially Africa, because you see a lot of the issues we have now are rooted right in decolonization and just the fucked upness that the Western powers that be came in and just basically carved it up. You had the French. I mean, you had, you know, German, Belgian, Italy. You had the UK. You had Dutch. You had all these different places fighting over the resources and colonizing and dividing the land.
For a lot of the time in Africa's history, we were resisting. We were successfully, but the guns started getting advanced.
Well, yeah.
And the diseases started getting advanced.
Yeah. Well, I always say, like, you know, like, how did the Third Reich get, like, concentration camps, like, as they did for the Jews? Because they were testing it out on indigenous people in Namibia. I've been to a concentration camp there. It's like, it's the same thing, only about 30 years beforehand.
It's some dark stuff.
It's dark. But people don't know this shit.
It's some
people
dark
don't
stuff.
know this shit.
Even eugenics, right?
Yeah.
They said Hitler poked his neck out, said, oh, look at what America's doing.
Exactly.
This sounds like a great idea.
And America is not free and clear in this. I mean, go back and look how Reagan and a lot of American politicians treated the apartheid government, because it was basically, it's a separatist issue. Reagan treated it the same way, like, especially during the 70s and 80s when, like, the resistance was happening. He basically was like, it's a separatist issue. Basically treated it like how he did the AIDS crisis in the gay population.
My thing is, what the hell was going on in Reagan's presidency? Was he ever with us?
He was a movie star.
Was he ever with
Probably
us?
not. Probably not. And I mean, he died of Alzheimer's, so I'm sure that, like, he probably already had some form of it going there. He had his throat goat wife telling people, you know, just say no to drugs. And it's like, bitch, you're getting on your knees and you're blowing that man in the damn Oval Office every chance you get. You know it.
Oh, God. I was like, was Ronald Reagan? But he's actually the Antichrist. He is burning in hell.
Yep.
And everything, is there even a good thing that he did? We're still seeing the effects in 2025.
No, I think we're seeing a lot of I think basically Trump is him in another form.
Oh, God. Part of me just wants to say, even though we have the devil, I don't know who your supporters vote for, but even though this is my opinion, I always say people vote for who they want, but, like, these are our opinions, and, like, you know, everyone's entitled to their own political. We did have I think politics wise, we did have a fair conversation about like politics, like why we thought the Democrats lost. I think it was very fair.
Well, I mean, people do not, because that's the other thing is right now, like, you gotta stick to facts and you gotta kind of watch where the media bias is happening.
Yeah. I said to people, like I said, I'm going to go back to my original statement, but like I said earlier, like, we had to talk about it, like, emotions aside, personal feelings aside. This is what the Democrats are just so unorganized.
Yeah.
And
they need to do better.
That's why they lost.
Yeah.
God knows what the hell is going on in that party. They don't have a clue what's going on.
I don't think they know what's going on.
They don't know. It's so... Ultimately, they lost because 20 million Democrats with 20 million didn't come out to vote. 20 million
Well, there's
people.
other stuff that people don't, like, they're so propped up by the media. I mean, you watch The View as your only news stuff.
The View.
Oh, God. Don't get me started. I can't tell you how many people, like, you know the brain rot that, like, old people get watching Fox News?
Yeah.
That same bullshit's happening to people. It's always these, like, older... retired women who watch The fucking View and listen to Joy Behar and Whoopi Goldberg, who the hell gave them political, like, I don't even know, like, credibility is still a mystery to me. And it's also like, this is the other thing that's happening in media. Alyssa Farah Griffin worked in the Trump White House and then went to media.
Yeah.
You don't think she still has all those ties? Because our journalists right now, Morning Joe. Sorry, Nicole is coming in. Morning Joe. Yes, it's another one. They all come. So this is the thing. A lot of journalists right now, they view political people, they're all in the same social class.
Yeah.
And you have it, Jen Psaki's another one. And it's stuff like that where I'm like, that's the problem, because you're not getting people who are calling truth to power because they're friends with the people in power and used to be employed by them. And they still have all those connections.
It's a scary place to be in.
Yes.
When
you just have to be smart about it. But it's scary because people are how ignorant they are and how, like, I can tell you right now, there's someone in my family that you know, rots her. I mean, well, she also takes in The View with her, like, weed-addled brain. But, like, you know, so it's like, God knows what brain rot she's already having. But, like, you can't tell her anything.
Yeah.
Like, you know, she watches The View and that's, you know, that's gospel.
And that's it.
And it can't be wrong. And it's like, let's really look at this. Sunny Hostin, her man just got charged with, like, or this is all allegedly, I'm a drunk queen in a bar. Her man just got charged with, like, Medicare fraud.
Yeah.
And it's like, let's look at that. Miss Sunny Hostin. Okay, bitch. Alyssa Farah Griffin. I do like her, though. She's probably my favorite because she loves Vanderpump Rules and Real Housewives, which we'll get into. But, you know, it's stuff like that. Joy Behar's a comic. I've always respected her. Whoopi just needs to, I don't know why she's working.
Because she can.
It's like, girl, go retire, go live in Corsica, wherever the hell your house is in the Mediterranean. Go to New Jersey and smoke your weed. We're good. We're good, Whoopi.
Whoopi was trending on Twitter yesterday for something, and I can't remember.
Why was she?
Somebody was in blackface.
Because they changed her hair.
No, somebody was in blackface. And
Jesus.
Okay, so this is what the internet does to Whoopi. Every time she makes an opinion, and is like, what the hell are you talking about? We're going to bring this picture out of somebody blackface and you smiling all your 32 teeth at them. So she... they were like, they don't let Whoopi make mistakes.
No.
They were like, girl, we have this picture.
And I've heard she's, like, awful backstage.
Oh, I've heard that too.
Yeah, I've heard she's not a nice person.
I've heard that too.
But I miss Meghan McCain personally, because she just was chaotic and didn't care and just was over it. But she's another one. She's a political person like that.
You know how The View is for, like, older women? Mm-hmm. The Real is for, like, millennial women.
Oh, yeah.
Ugh.
Oh, God.
You just brought that back to me. Like, The Real is for millennial women. They go on there and it's always like, girls brunch, women empowerment. And then... they spew you something and everybody's just like, yeah, well, this is gospel.
Yeah. And it's not. It's crazy to me.
We're in this scary place where
you just have to be smart and vigilant.
Media's biased and media can be bought out.
And you have to be willing to talk about it. You have to be willing to realize that maybe that there is a dog and pony show by our political system that has changed and it's way smarter and you have to be more intelligent about it.
All people want to do is be able to afford rent.
That's all people want to be able to afford rent. They want health care. They want to eat. They want to take care of themselves. They want, you know, to not to have to worry that their house is going to burn down and they're going to be SOL. It's shit like, it's just, that's all they want. But, you know, the dog and pony show, you know, it's the trans person in the bathroom. That's the problem. And it's like, I don't really think they give a shit.
Which is just like.
All right, guys. So I'm going to put the ad break in here. We'll be right back. All right, ad break. I gotta pay for all this damn coffee I'm drinking and tea I'm spilling. What's up, art lovers? It's me, Zenobia Darling. Did you know I'm more than just a drag rock star? I'm also a very accomplished painter photographer, and you can check it all out on ZenobiaDarlingCreative.com. Sponsored by the Harford County Cultural Arts Board, my blog, #RockstarLife, the arts blog. It explores all my creativity right when it crashes into local culture. Explore my neo-expressionistic fine art, my editorialized goth photography. And this is the best part. You can buy my original paintings and you can spruce up your boring-ass walls because every wall needs some glittering Zenobia Darling on them. So go check out Zenobia Darling Creative. The link is in the episode description. Ooh, what's up, Glamazons? It's Zenobia Darling. And you know my rock stardness doesn't just happen, right? It's crafted to perfection at Odyssey Salon and Day Spa in Aberdeen. Let me spill my secret. Abby, my badass stylist, is the mastermind behind my iconic glittering blonde mohawk. Whether you want to spike it up, smooth it out, dye it a killer shade, or just add that extra edge to your hair, the crew at Odyssey have the magic to make you feel like the superstar you truly are. And it's not just about hair. They keep my nails sharp, my skin polished, and every visit is an absolute blast. And here's the best part, my darlings. Odyssey isn't just about looking fierce. It is a safe space where us LGBT folks can feel right at home, shining as our truest selves. So if you're ready to live your own #Rockstar life and embrace your creative spirit, get yourself to Odyssey Salon and Day Spa in Aberdeen. Tell them Zenobia sent you and show the world how fabulous us rock stars look. And you never know, you might run into yours truly. The link to book your visit to unlock your fabulosity is in the episode description. Hey there, ghost-loving rebels. It's Zenobia Darling, your paranormal punk rock queen. We premiered my newest art film, Ethereal Anarchy, Zenobia Darling's Haunted Revolution, on November 1st with my opening reception of my immersive art exhibition, The Paranormal Realm Beyond the Lore. Let me tell you, Part 1 of this film captured one of the most profound paranormal experiences I've ever had, and it was met with roaring applause and accolades. And yes, we filmed it in true punk rock fashion to bring you even more content. But Huns, the revolution is just getting started, and we need you to bring Part 2 to life. We have so much more content from Part 1 that we want to include, plus we're actively filming for Part 2. So we're pushing paranormal storytelling to the edge in true aspirational punk rock fashion. Your support fuels every haunting moment of this journey. From ghost hunting gear to fair crew pay, every dollar you contribute keeps things spooky and queer just the way it should be. Join the Haunted Revolution. You can find the link to our GoFundMe in the episode description and help us raise the dead and the funds. All right, guys, we're back. Let's jump back into my 2-part coffee break with Evita. It gets good. We do start shifting into pop culture, so it's a good one. So,
Elon Musk is in our political system.
Why? I don't understand. He's an oligarch.
Future president's shoulder.
Yeah.
Giving people $20,000 to vote.
They're getting messy.
I see
Have you been hearing stuff?
Okay, they said, allegedly, this is all alleged, but I don't think Donald Trump is the type of person that likes somebody to get credit for what he's doing.
Oh, hell no.
So if we say, well, this is all Elon Musk's idea, Elon is running the show, Elon is funding, I don't think Donald Trump this is all going to blow up.
Yep.
This is all going to blow up.
I can't wait. Because Donald Trump he's like fucking Ramona Singer from Real Housewives of New York City. Him and Elon are going to have a fallout like a Real Housewife. And it's going to be messy and amazing. That's the only thing that's a saving grace is like going into the next 4 years of the Trump presidency, you got to have a sense of humor. Trump is a fucking character.
He is a reality TV star.
Yes, and you have to look at it that way.
Before a politician.
Yes, and you have to laugh at it. You have to make fun of it because Trump, he is hysterical. If you get really stoned at night and take out the fact that he's the leader of our country and just listen to him talk, it's the funniest shit ever. I will never forget. It was back when he was president, and it was Nancy Pelosi and frickin' Chuck Schumer were in the Oval Office trying to avoid a government shutdown. And Trump wants to actually have the like backdoor argument with them on camera. And you can see where like Nancy and Chuck are kind of like, we'll do this off camera. And they got very uncomfortable. And Trump was like, no, it's your shutdown. And Trump was like, well, no. Then Nancy came back because Nancy saw, I hate Nancy Pelosi, but like just because she is corrupt, but like
she does insider trading. She should actually be in prison.
Yes, they sent Martha Stewart to jail. Why can't they send her to jail?
She has a whole Reddit page about what is Nancy Pelosi trading today and how you can get rich.
Yes, it's a whole Twitter thing, and people actually are making money off of it. And I'm like, let's not forget Martha Stewart got thrown in jail for 5 months for insider trading that she actually didn't do. People get in so much trouble for insider.
They come to your door.
But Nancy Pelosi does it. Well, God knows, she's like old and her hair is like gray as shit. So she's got to go to the salon every 3 days to get her roots done. Because she was doing that in the pandemic, and it's like you're in there telling people, oh, avoid the salons. Girl, you never had roots that entire pandemic. And then it got called out that her hairstylist was coming over her house dyeing her hair every like week. And I'm like, girl, it's so transparent. But like Nancy would come back and be like, well, we're going to have the Trump presidency government shut down. Mm-hmm. And Trump was like, oh no. And then started going into it. And I started laughing. Because you could tell it was making them uncomfortable because they're playing that old Obama game, whereas Trump shifted it. That makes me excited because I think that needs to happen because politicians because I think that was part of the issue, and I think that's why Hillary lost. But like, we got the new crop coming up, and they're definitely like, they're aware of it, I will say. But you got to laugh at it.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting next 4 years, I believe.
So do you want to stay here after all this? I mean, first chance I get to get out of the country, I'm taking.
Oh, I already have my trip to Brazil itemized.
Where in Brazil are you going?
I don't know yet, but it might be Colombia actually. I want to go to Medellin, Colombia.
Oh,
but I already have I just need to finish this school. I'm in school.
Yeah.
I'm in school. I just need to finish that. And then Japan next.
I want to go to Japan. Yeah. I want to go to 7-Elevens over there. I want to go to Korea and go to like the convenience stores and get the buldak ramen and all that little like the little cup of ice and then you pour the little packets in.
Cute little. Yeah. Japan, Korea's good. I do want to go to China.
Really? I do too. I want
to go to China. Maybe Indonesia.
I want to go to Bali.
Yeah. And then we'll see from there. And then the Pacific Islands.
Yeah. I want to go to Mauritius.
Oh, Mauritius is a good one.
Yes.
Mauritius is a good one.
I want to go to Mauritius so badly.
I think you would like Seychelles too.
Yeah.
I think you would really like Seychelles.
I definitely, yeah.
I think you would, yeah. It's small little, no, I think you would love Seychelles. I want to go to Morocco, but I've heard iffy.
I've heard it too.
A lot of and this is my opinion, but a lot of North African countries,
they can be kind of scary.
Egypt is scary.
Yeah, Egypt. I would never go to Egypt right now.
Egypt is.
I mean, I do want to see like
the pyramids,
all the pyramids and all that stuff, but like I'm good.
It's not even worth it. Like, unfortunately, the men there are horrible.
Yep. Well, they're like Muslim,
but it's like worse.
Yeah.
It's on top of that, and it's like, I don't know. It's just Egypt specifically.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Egypt specifically is just what the hell is going on.
Yeah.
I don't even know how to explain it.
I want to go back to. I would go to Mozambique.
Ooh.
Mozambique, Madagascar, Ethiopia.
Ghana's good.
Ghana, yes.
Ghana is good. I say, never let anybody tell you.
And Malindi, Kenya, where Naomi Campbell has a house.
Ooh. Because in case she needs to run away.
well, she needs it. Getting that blood diamond money.
Oh God!
Let's talk about Naomi Campbell.
Why is she always at the scene of the crime?
Why?
Why is she always?
Why?
At the scene of
when
the
did
crime?
Naomi Campbell first come on your radar?
I think Naomi Campbell has always been a legendary model. My mom was a big fan of her, and so her as a model, that was just it. Yeah,
because people are saying, "Oh, Tyra." I'm like, phew.
I think the difference with Tyra, and I just learned this recently.
Tyra's annoying.
But Tyra is Black American history.
Yeah.
This is the first African American woman that we've had, like, good representation of African American woman that's a high class model.
Yeah. But the thing about Tyra, though, she's always been commercial. She tries to do high fashion and she just doesn't do it well. She's a commercial girl. She used to be on Sports Illustrated. I mean, her little thing on that Victoria's Secret runway was there was more to be desired than that.
That show was a mess.
That was a mess.
The whole show was a mess.
And like, she doesn't walk the same anymore. And it's not like a weight gain or like
Don't
getting
you think
older.
It is?
No, because her hips have always been that wide and her thighs have always touched like that. But she's not walking the same.
You know, one thing about Tyra is that her life always comes back around, doesn't it? Because
she's like a herpy.
she first came on my radar, America's Next Top Model.
Ooh.
Cycle. It was like cycle 3 or 4, but I had to go back and I watched everything in order.
Yeah.
I never missed America's Next Top Model. Like I watched, and
I loved it. I did too.
As a child,
that's what made me fall in love with Cape Town was season 4 of Top Model.
Yeah. As a child, I was like, even I could tell some of the stuff was crazy, but looking back as an adult, like she's actually a supervillain.
It's bad.
She's actually a supervillain.
The blackface, oh my God. I mean, you got some real moments, like the one girl who in cycle 2, they went to Italy and she was in her long-term boyfriend. She was a virgin. She lost her virginity to the guy. And they had a bunch of Italian models over and she fucked one of them.
Oh, I remember
and then,
that.
Yes.
Oh my
and
gosh.
then she had to call her boyfriend on the phone.
I remember that.
And he was like, babe, I gotta tell you. Hey, babe, what's up? I gotta tell you something. Why, what's up? I had sex with a guy. What? You had sex? Oh my God. And I just started laughing. I'm like, this is so bad.
It was a whole thing.
I'm like, and then they didn't even give her the crown.
Yeah.
They gave it to Joanna House, who went on to do a What Not to Wear show.
And that's, oh my God. And that's how I know Tyra is meant. Tyra lived for the mess.
Yes.
And she wanted to orchestrate it.
She didn't give a fuck about those people.
There was a model who had a tooth gap.
Oh, yeah,
And
Danielle. Danielle. Yep.
And they told that, because she came back to speak about it, they told Danielle, baby, you need to close that gap. Yeah. You know, the thing with Tyra is like, once she has her sights on you, she'll make you all these promises. Well, if you just listen to me, you do this, this, and this, and this. This
and I remember she had she was from Arkansas. So she kind of had that like Southern twang. And she's like, I'm not going to fix my mouth. And then Tyra did it. And she's like, you think she put her like her, I'm going to mimic it, her pinky
finger.
And she's like, you think people want to see this? And you watch it and you're like, Tyra, you are so like shitty. And you could tell that girl is like high class. She fucking is gorgeous. And I'm like, you look like a fool.
Better posture than her.
Yes.
Like, all things model, it's like, girl, but it's Tyra Banks. She had the name at that time.
Yeah.
Now, Tyra, back to Naomi, though. Tyra's whole beef with Naomi, I don't know what the hell. Well, I know what it was now.
But like, Naomi's a high fashion model.
But Tyra would take that personally. So I remember one time in the show, remember when Naomi was doing the show and she tripped over those shoes?
Wow.
And she fell so gracefully.
I think it was Vivienne Westwood.
Oh, it was Vivienne
Westwood, I think 1992.
Was it Vivienne Westwood?
I think so. Naomi's tripped a few times.
Oh, but she felt so... She felt like a
great
flower.
because she's like... What? Because I know she's British, but like what? Like where's her roots from?
Her grandfather's Nelson Mandela.
Really?
Lore.
Okay, that makes sense. I could.
I don't know how though. I haven't looked.
Well, I know that she got lots of gifts from Nelson Mandela.
Ooh,
lots of blood diamonds. Well, that's why. Do you remember the whole? What was it? One of the African dictators was being like investigated by like the UN or like the World Crime. The thing in the Hague in the Netherlands, and they subpoena Naomi Campbell, and she showed up. It was like 9 a.m, and she was over it. So she shows up gorgeous, and the one lady was like, said something, and she's like, I really don't want to be here. I don't really do mornings, and I just want to get this over with and move on with my life. It was being such a bitch. But like, it was in that Naomi Campbell way, and you're like, you know, she kind of has a point, but at the same time, Naomi, why are you buddy with all these African dictators?
I'll tell you, and then it would be like, she's always at the scene of the crime. Epstein, Naomi's there.
Yep.
It's just like, girl, what's going on?
Well,
Naomi's there.
She was there.
Elsa Majimbo was influencer.
The Sultan of Brunei. She's been there.
She was like...
Most of the royal families in the Middle East, she's right there.
A story will come out and it'll be like, oh yeah, Naomi tried to traffic me. What the hell?
Oh yeah. Naomi is dark. If you go down the Naomi Campbell rabbit hole, it is dark. Dark.
Oh, the Prince of Brunei is a fine man.
Oh, he is. No, do you know who I think is hot? The Saudi prince.
Yeah.
Who killed that journalist. Oh.
Stop it.
He's hot though.
Oh, stop. Okay, yo, do not get with bad people.
Yeah, but you know what all these guys do, because like it's that whole like hooker economy in LA.
Yeah.
They want to get these young girls who are like 18, 19, come to their parties. They want to fuck them. They want to shit on them and then give them a Birkin bag.
Jen actually.
That is the actual truth. Yeah. Like it's like that. They take these hostesses in these LA restaurants, take them to the Middle East for a modeling job. Yeah.
I think that's the craziest thing that I might have read, like, in the 2010s.
It's crazy. And it's so out. The thing is, though, is like all this stuff is so blatant out in the open. At least like 30 years ago, it was kind of hidden. Nowadays, it's all out in the open.
But it didn't become mainstream until... I remember reading about this like much, much earlier.
Yeah.
But it didn't become mainstream until recently. And it's like, this has been happening.
Yeah. It's not anything new.
This has been... And it's... Naomi's always at the scene of a crime.
Naomi is always there.
And I'm surprised that she hasn't been...
Well... Do you remember when Tyra wanted to have... She had her crazy-ass talk show, which honestly is
And Naomi was just there smiling like she was high up in the clouds.
Like, Tyra was like, I'm not having the audience there. So it was just her and Naomi in this empty TV studio.
And she's asking Naomi, well, do you remember when you did this to me?
And Naomi's like, I don't give a fuck. Like,
she's just smiling like, oh, yeah. Well,
Naomi knew what game to play.
She definitely does.
She did. But you knew the minute she got off mic and left, you know she was bitching.
Oh, she did not. In their cameras, it looks like she... So, this whole thing with Tyra, I don't know if it's inferiority, maybe she wanted a mentor, maybe she wanted a hug.
Tyra is a fucking crazy theater kid.
But then she brought it to America's Next Top Model, like, these are the shoes even the great model Naomi Campbell fell
always
in.
Throwing shade at Naomi.
Why is that necessary?
That's the thing about Tyra is I'm like, you are throwing shade. You're being shady. No wonder Naomi hates you.
It was so out of the open, too.
Yeah. And then she would be like, well, she's like, back in the day, there was that one color and I could rock it better than Naomi Campbell. She said that back in like 97 when it was back when all the fashion people, they use one foundation for black skin tone.
Yeah.
And it was a specific shade for MAC. And I remember like
everybody looking ashy.
Everyone looking ashy. Every black girl looking the same skin tone, looking horrible. And Tyra made a comment on like the news or something. It was right after Gianni Versace was assassinated. Oh, so already Naomi was dealing with that. Tyra's fucking saying like, oh, well, I can rock that color better than Naomi can. And it's like, you don't got to say that, Tyra.
I think that's another thing with Tyra is that I feel like people don't understand, even in your personal life, right? Even if you aren't famous, even if you aren't in a space with a lot of industry people, it's like people watch how you are.
Yeah.
They watch how you interact. Naomi personally knew fashion designers.
Yes.
She was a muse for a lot of them.
She was generally friends with Gianni Versace.
It destroyed her when he died.
Just like it did everyone else. It's like stuff like that. Like she generally was friends. Who's Tyra? Who is what's her face? Baby Fat. That's your friend? What? Kamorley Simmons? They're not even real friends anymore. Like
there's a whole thing with her.
But that's the thing about Naomi is I'm like, she generally has been friends with people for like 40 years.
But then who wants to... If you look at Tyra, right? Even if you want to make connections, like, oh, there's this new... Tyra's off talking about something and this happened to her and throwing shade at somebody. It's like, can you focus on the modeling career?
Yeah.
You are like the first African-American woman to make...
Yes.
Maybe not the first. Let me not say the first. But
no, I mean, she was the first like mainstream African-American supermodel.
I feel like, if you weren't in the model scene...
Because there was like Amon back in the day. Yeah. But that really was it. And I mean, there was a few like in the early 90s, there was like a trans model that came up that was gorgeous. But it was really like Tyra was the only real like African-American supermodel. And
so we were like, well, Tyra, you're making waves, but she's focused on all the wrong things.
Yeah. It's like go back to modeling. You wanted to be fucking Oprah. You had to get your crazy ass talk show, which God, when I get really like really stoned, I'll watch an old Tyra episode. It's like God. The one that killed me though was like I know Trixie Mattel and Katya have talked about on their podcast. It's the one where they have the Westboro Baptist Church on there, and Tyra was a little too giddy because I remember the girl was like, Tyra's like, so what do you call me? And she was like, well, you're a fag enabler. And Tyra, because they're the hateful church that like protest the signs that say like God hates fags and shit like that.
I remember that.
And I remember Tyra was like, so what do you call me? And she's like, you're a fag. And she's like, she looked at that. She's like, I'm a fag enabler. And she had such a glee.
She thought she gagged everybody.
Yes. And I was like, girl, for one thing, you should not be saying that word. Yes, I know you think you're a gay man and a drag queen, but like, you should not be saying that word. Neither should the other woman. But like, the thing that really struck me was she had such a glee about it. Like she
really thought she was Oprah.
Yes, and she like thought that it was like Like she wore like a badge of honor. And it's like, no, Tyra, you're fucking unhinged.
Always in the mess.
Always unhinged.
She didn't just live for it. She orchestrates it.
She totally. Why would you bring those people on your fucking platform?
I don't like Oprah either for what she does.
I don't like Oprah either. I mean, don't get me wrong. I've seen every episode of the Oprah Winfrey Show, but like,
I don't. My mom used to watch it when I was younger.
But Oprah's a problem, and Monique is calling her ass out.
I love Monique.
She's the best.
You don't understand.
She's the best
as an actress, as a person,
as a stand-up
woman,
comic,
as a comedian.
Like no one can like. Stand-up comedy is my favorite thing, and I have to say, like, it's Joan Rivers, Kathy Griffin, Monique is up there.
Monique is so...
She's the best.
Derek, you really are in this, man.
Yes.
Like, a lot of people don't have an appreciation. I love...
Yeah.
That woman is like... When you talk about triple threats, you know, dancing, singing,
she can
acting,
do it.
Monique is it. I don't know
and
if she
doesn't play the bullshit.
Oh, she doesn't.
And that's the best part of it, because she's a true punk stand-up comic.
They blackballed her.
Yes, Oprah did.
Yeah.
Well, she went on some podcast and like talked about it. Yeah. And it's like, you know,
like Club Shay Shay.
Yeah.
That was
which
one...
I don't know how that show's still on, because I mean the shit that's been said on that show. Oof. You had Cat Williams, another stand-up, like I'm telling you.
I had an opinion about it. I think,
what's your opinion?
They were just like, we're just gonna give Shannon his just black TV. That's what I think they were. Like.
I think, yeah, I agree with you.
We're just gonna give him his black TV, and then because they had Cat Williams out there calling everybody out, and they still let the show air.
Well, it's Cat Williams.
Fair.
I mean, this is the thing I always say about this era: the philosophers, the Socrates, the Platos, the Aristotles are the comics right now. And it's like Cat Williams is, I mean, he's one of the greatest stand-up comics we ever had.
It is like, Monique's a comedian, and she came on there. She was like, DL Hughley was doing this and this and
yep.
And DL Hughley has some radio station that's like actual brain rot.
Mm-hmm.
Here in like DC or Maryland, local.
Would not surprise me.
It's local, so it's either here in Maryland or DC, but it's local.
Yeah.
I remember when I first started college, it would just be on in the morning. Just the most brain rot, like. He's not funny.
No.
He's a comedian. He's not funny.
Yeah.
It's just like, he's just an a-hole to me.
Yeah.
And so Monique called him out. She was like, well, this brother D.L. Hughley, and he got on that show. He called her everything but a child of God. She's fat. She's ugly. She's not ugly, by the way.
She's not. She can play ugly, though. I mean, her as a mom in Precious, I mean, that was some of the best acting work I've ever seen. I remember when Precious came out.
That movie's a hard watch.
I wanted to watch it so badly. It wasn't playing anywhere. It was playing like Baltimore, but like where I live in Harford County, like it was playing in Delaware. So like it was me and my best friend. We went there. Like, I mean, we were the only people in the audience, which I loved. And like, it was like, because I wanted to see it. I remember sitting there like, this woman, like she didn't even shave her damn legs.
Oh. She should have won an Oscar.
She was
blackballed.
Yes, I'm like, this woman is that role, and then her in The Deliverance. I'm like, this woman can act.
I just watched her it's a show called The Parkers, and it's a comedy show they played in the early 2000s. She played somebody's mother. Oh, she went on there looking fabulous.
Yes,
outfit.
She can play the fabulous.
Like
do you remember her on it was like the Flavor of Love Girls Charm School? She was the madam that she was. I was like,
no, Monique is,
but she killed it.
Unfortunately, I hate when we lose talent.
I do too.
Like this, like to something. We're just gonna. If somebody has enough money, we're just gonna blackball you. Yeah. I wanted to say it happened with Nicki Minaj. Nicki Minaj is still.
Nicki Minaj. She can't be Nicki Minaj.
She still has for all this. We hate Nicki Minaj. They said she's still the most listened to female rapper in 2024.
I love Nicki Minaj.
I do too, and
the thing I think that really cemented Nicki was when her and Cardi fought or I should say, when Cardi tried to throw a shoe at her and tried to do that Love and Hip Hop shit.
And Nicki came out smiling, not a scar,
not a scar. And then Nicki went on her podcast and was like, "We as black women are here at this upper echelon white people fashion show, and you're gonna try to do that shit," and called Cardi out.
Yeah.
And it was like, but she did it in such like a...
Queen Radio was such an era.
Yes. And she did it in such like it was a way that it was like, she said what everyone was thinking.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, we'll end it with Wendy because she spoke today. But like Wendy was the one she was like, I don't really like Nicki, but like,
I mean, but
we're all thinking it.
I mean, but it is true. You get invited to this thing, and Cardi B is still new at the scene,
and you take off a $4,000 Giuseppe Zanotti shoe, bedazzled, and you chuck it across a party at Nicki. Cardi, I understand
because of something you thought you heard.
Yeah, that's no. What you do is you meet her out back.
Nicki doesn't give fido to me.
Yeah,
she gives. I'll get my bodyguard. No, she doesn't give fido.
No, she gives.
She gives. I will get my bodyguards to.
Yep.
But like you said earlier, off air when we were talking about it, like people don't know Cardi's background. Like she's
from Love and Hip Hop.
Yeah,
you can watch her. She's fighting people, literally brawling. She's going to jail or prison in upstate New York to visit her baby daddy.
That's another person. I think the theme of this like podcast. That's another person that's actress, like a performer. She's not a musician.
Yes,
and I think that's the difference. Nicki Minaj is not really a performer, but she has stage presence.
Yeah,
she doesn't have to dance. She has stage presence. Her music is good. You know all the words. Her music is smart. She's cemented. She's been in like genre. She's been in pop. She broke out in not only hip hop. She broke out into pop, rock, gospel. Like, what?
Do you remember her in American Idol going after Mariah Carey?
That was an era.
That was the best.
That was an era.
I loved it when because like she was really good at like just throwing like very subtle, and she did it all. Nicki completely orchestrated it. She would throw subtle shade at Mariah. Oh, Mariah, do you is this lighting good for me? And then Mariah being the nut job that Mariah is, hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah, she would always fall for it.
Next thing, fall for it. I'm like, Mariah, just sit there and be like, yeah, darling, it's good. Just give it back. Because I'm like, also, I think that's how Nicki actually is. I think, she's from Jamaica, like Queens. Yeah. Like, she's going to play dig a little bit with you, rough house. But I think you have to kind of give it back to her. But Mariah it's fucking Mariah.
I think, yeah.
Do you have any good Mariah moments?
I mean, that was an era. I actually watched that live because I used to watch American Idol. I was like, oh, these two. We would come for them. I don't even remember who won that season of
I was watching for the Nicki Mariah thing.
Do I have any? I remember that one time Mariah was drunk on stage and they asked her a question. She's like, I'm just doing the best with what I got.
No, the best was this was recent. She was introducing Miley Cyrus, but it was like something. It was when she won her Emmy. But when she said her name, she's like, give it up for Miley Cyrus. Like she said it all butchered. I'm like, oh my God.
One thing about her, you will know if she doesn't like you.
Oh yeah.
You will know.
Oh yeah.
Cher too. Cher's another person.
I fucking love Cher. Don't get me started on Cher.
Cher's another person where you'll know if she doesn't like you. I remember Kim Kardashian paying all this money to go meet Cher, and Cher was just like, oh, hi.
Well, it's Kim.
I think she gave her a hug, but you could tell like Cher was not feeling it.
No, she wasn't.
She appreciates her as a fan, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And so you can't really say to your fans like, oh, what are you doing? But I don't think she likes Kim as a person.
No,
I don't think she likes Kim as a
person.
I
don't think she likes the new money of it.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Probably when she dies, Kim is going to try get her.
Of course she is.
Follicles
of course
something.
It is. But like, I mean, I have respect for Kim, but like, it's a little annoying right now. Like the Kardashians really weigh my brain down.
I just saw a picture of Khloe and somebody was like, oh my God, she's skinny again.
Revenge body.
Like, oh, that whole thing was a mess.
God, I do miss like if you watch their show, even up until the end, they were still delivering. Like when that sociopath, who was it? God, what's the oldest one? Courtney. I've heard horrible things. I think she's a full-on sociopath.
Really?
I've never heard a good story about her.
This is tea.
But they would actually full-on, like, when they would brawl and physically fight, that was the best.
My mom was... Okay, I said my mom watched a lot of stuff. That's how I got... With the Kardashians and my mom stuck to them like glue. My mom watched... Kim and Courtney Take Miami, whatever it was. My mom watched all the sub.
Where Khloe got addicted to the Cuban coffees. Yeah. Oh, God.
My mom would watch all the sub shows, all the side shows, all the side quests. She was like, I think I give Courtney a little bit of grace. And this is why I say, Courtney grew up seeing her mom in all of that mess.
Yeah.
You know what all that
mess
is.
She knows.
She grew up smack dab in the middle. She saw her mom, even though they don't talk about it, she probably saw her mom cheating on her dad, multiple different men.
Oh, totally.
It's like this ambiguous...
Why her dad was being like, dealing with the whole OJ thing.
Yeah. It's this ambiguous thing where it's like, it's alluded to that we know Chris was sleeping with powerful men while married.
She knew what she was doing.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, this is the thing. Like, I love Pamela Anderson. I got a Pam Anderson story I'll tell you off mic.
Okay.
But like, I love Pam Anderson. I love Paris Hilton and the whole sex tape of it all. We all know Kim's was fake and staged.
More lore that I found out. Basically, Kim used to be, I don't know if it was Brandy's manager. I can't remember.
Yeah, she also was Paris Hilton's assistant.
Yeah. So she used to, I think
she knows what she was doing.
She wanted to be Paris Hilton.
Yeah.
But how's the quickest way to do that? Well, I know Brandy, and Brandy has a brother, and the rest is history.
Well, didn't she get into a car accident and kill someone?
Oh, Brandy there's a whole thing with Brandy too.
Let's talk about it. Let's talk about Brandy.
Oh God, there's a whole thing with Brandy too. Brandy was a child star. Sometimes child stars, I give them more grace. Yeah. But I think,
well, she was in something with Whitney Houston, and if you watch the bloopers, was it A Christmas Story or A Christmas Carol?
What was it called?
Cinderella.
Yes.
And Whitney Houston was the fairy godmother, and they were singing, and there's one of the bloopers where like Whitney in perfect key is like, why are you singing up here? Sing down here, and did it like perfectly and like in key while they were singing. And you're like, that's fucking Whitney. I love Whitney Houston. Yeah.
Brandy is a student of song. Mm-hmm. As a singer, I have to respect her. She always wants to learn. She's a singer of song. Whitney was just Whitney. Yeah.
Did you ever watch Being Bobby Brown?
I touched it, but then I was just like, this is so much.
That was one of the best, because there's this thing in reality television. So you have like the legacy shows, Keeping Up with the Kardashians, any of the Real Housewives that have been on. We all know the format. Flash and Police. Mm-hmm. There are these one season wonder, the best reality shows ever. They're always one season wonders, and the thing is, it's so dark that they could never replicate it again. And normally, like Being Bobby Brown, because you get cracked out Whitney and Bobby being just in front of their child, being just crackheads, and I say that lovingly. You have Paula Abdul's show. It was a one season wonder show on
I remember that.
Bravo called It's Paula, where she was like painkillered out and trying to get the Bratz movie made for Cartoon Network, having a meltdown. Because there's this one iconic scene she has where she's like getting her hair done, and like the Cartoon Network canceled the Bratz movie, which like cracks me up that I'm like, the fucking dolls, the whorish dolls at Target, she was making a dance movie about, like, classic.
Brett said we have some standards.
Yes. And she's sitting there with like Sebastian Shaper, and I loved it because it was right when like Hairspray the movie came out, like the remake with John Waters. And Sebastian Shaper was the hairspray they used, so they had like their own branded stuff. So it was like a vintage hairspray thing, like branded for Hairspray. She's sitting there spraying it on her bank, and she's like, I just do so much. I'm a unicorn. And I'm like, you're fucking on crack. And then she's like melting down because she had to fly to QVC, or she was flying over QVC, and her assistant didn't pack sweatpants. And she was like, I don't want to fly 4 hours without sweatpants. I'm in jeans. Oh my. And I'm like, you're nuts, Paula Abdul.
Oh, she is crazy.
Those like one season wonder shows like are the best. Yeah. There was one with Paris Hilton with Brooke Mueller, who was like coming down on heroin with Kathy Hill trying to check her into rehab. That was a good one too.
Kathy Hill is so interesting to me. Anytime Nicki Minaj has a live, she'll always join the live like, hi, Nicki. Yeah.
Because Kathy Hilton's crazy. I love it. I love it when she just like will tweet from Rick's iPad.
Like randomly.
And then she'll just be like, she'll like tweet out like she's like messaging people. Mm-hmm. I'm like, no, you're not.
No, like, she's so funny. They did a thing where they asked Tiffany Haddish to go walk on the show. Was it Louis Vuitton? And Tiffany Haddish took her ass up and walked on the show and got kicked out. I don't like Tiffany Haddish. Yeah. I think, this is my opinion, but like, Tiffany Haddish is a caricature. Like she acts like a caricature for Black women. Yeah. It's like, you know those people where it's like, you just bring a bad name to, this is not really who you are. It's different when this is not really who, why you act, why you act, you're not funny. She's not funny.
She's not
funny. She started to do,
and she's the problem.
She tried to do stand-up comedy. It was a whole flop.
She's not a good comic. It was a
whole flop. It was a whole thing. I don't know why they keep hiring her for movies. It's just like, let's just.
Well, she's in that same system that like Kevin Hart's in, because I can't figure out why he constantly gets booked.
They keep giving, The Rock is using all his money that he got from WWE to keep making movies and putting Kevin Hart in them.
I don't know why. He's not a good stand-up. He's not a good actor. Like, I don't like Kevin Hart.
I have to agree with you.
How do you? Yeah.
I
knew you. I knew you felt it.
I agree with you.
Monique called him out.
There's just some people that is just like, what are you even doing?
Yeah. It's
those
bad.
Those two specifically.
So, like, do you have any, like, reality shows that you love? Like,
This is like a tell me about yourself question and your mind goes blank.
Tell me 3 fun facts about yourself. I'm telling you right now, I'm going to make this into 2 episodes. I can tell we're going to keep going.
I know. Now, one that I watched, what was Kylie's spin-off show called?
It's Kylie,
something like that.
Something like that.
She did a whole like marriage ritual ceremony with Jordan.
Oh, God.
That I was like, what the hell is going on?
And then the whole Astro World, that was a level of darkness that I don't think anyone's seen in a while. I think they brought hell to earth.
He summoned it. So there's that. I did watch the Kardashians. My mom grew up watching it. I did watch it. Like my mom watched it from the beginning when it started. Like when Crystal had a Tuscan style 2000s home.
Oh God.
My mom was like, so I was exposed to that. And America's Next Top Model.
Did you watch any did you watch Real Housewives of Joburg?
I did. Oh, I was getting to that. I was like Real Housewives.
Okay.
I watched Real Housewives of Joburg.
When I was over there, I remember season 1 was airing and then they were filming season 2. Because I remember one of the housewives, I think it was Lindy, lived in Melville. Because I remember someone was like...
pulling up the cast.
Oh, yeah. There was Crystal K, who was like...
Oh, I know Crystal, darling.
Crystal. She looks like she's been chainsawed in half and then put back together like Frankenstein with that walleye. And I love how they just like openly make fun of it. And she looks like she's just been sunburned. She's a problem. I'm telling you, like if they ever air that show in America, people are coming for her.
All the way sober?
Hell no. That bitch, no, because they just did an ultimate girls trip with the South African housewives, and she was being a nut job on that show too.
I was like, I don't think Crystal is. I always like to say this. She's not with us.
No, she's not. She's in a whole other world, and I'm like, oh my God, she's just ugh.
Who was the mother and daughter?
Evodia
and
I love Evodia.
Hold on, Evodia.
What's her daughter?
Was it Mercy?
I think it was Mercy.
Evodia and Mercy have a weird relationship. And I know that they mentioned it on the show where they were like, well, you guys have just never seen a mother and a daughter that were this close.
There's something off. There's something way off about that mother and daughter relationship. Just like, and it was off. And then they actually, do you remember they went to, what mall did they get? They were in a mall. Because I saw the Woolworths behind them and I was
they were fighting?
Yeah, because they're like in some boutique and you look over and they're like, there's literally the buffet for the Woolworths at the mall. Like,
that's hilarious. They're fighting Crystal in that
Yeah. But they were at the mall and they got into a fight and like she threw a purse and I'm like,
do you know how expensive this purse is?
God, that first season is actually really good.
No, it was really. I'm gonna go back and rewatch.
And then you had Lyrica, I think her name was.
Yeah,
Lyrica.
It
was. I think it was Lyrica that she was another one because there was 2 housewives that lived in Melville.
I was not pulling up the whole cast, but like, then there was
Bridget,
Mrs. Morse. I was just like, Mrs. Morse was cute, but I was like, who's this old lady that we have?
Yeah, why is she on here? Like, and then half the time she was like, oh, I had to go to Amsterdam to visit my husband. I'm on holiday in Kenya. We're like, why did you sign up for the damn show?
Well, I'm traveling. Well, I'm visiting my husband in Amsterdam. Oh, we're in Paris today. Oh, we're in... And it's just like, girl.
Like, what are you doing? And then who's the one girl? Oh, God.
She was a Real Housewife.
Britnette.
Britnette.
Yes. I dig her, but I'll tell you right now, she is shady. There is something shady about her. I cannot put my finger on it, but I'm like, girl. I wish they would cast.
I'm going to go rewatch it.
Yeah. I think it's on Discovery Plus. Like, it's really good.
I'm going to go rewatch it.
But like with Real Housewives of the South African versions of it, and I actually watched the Real Housewives of Lagos. It was actually really good.
The Real Housewives of Lagos is always going to be a time because it's just like Lagos.
They're rich and regal, but they're also ratchet.
You know, and that's how it is for.
Yes.
And that's authentic. I think that's the thing. Season 1 of Real Housewives of Johannesburg was authentic. I think that's the thing that.
Because season 2, it stopped being authentic. And also you got Crystal K playing, she clearly watched Real Housewives of New York City and was trying to be Ramona Singer, which I'm like, well.
And that's the thing about Lagos is that the actual rich women, that's what they're like.
Yeah.
So it's like authenticity, like, oh no, this is...
Yeah, you had Mrs. Morse flipping out on her chef, and you're like, she literally probably does that.
In real life.
I'm like, that's a real moment. Yeah. I always say that the African housewives, it's still the housewives flavor. it's a whole different vibe. The drama's different.
It's good TV.
It's good TV, and it's I always say it's because like it's not so much like conflict driven. It's more lifestyle, but they still fight. But they know how to make up. They know how to move through fights. It's just it's really good.
We're unfortunate, and I think it used to be that a lot of the American Housewife franchises, at first, I think it used to be there was like a level of authenticity, but Bravo, people started. I don't even want to say it's like people holding Bravo accountable. Bravo I think it's actually the opposite. Bravo just let things slide.
They let it happen.
We just let some people just get away with doing the most abhorrent stuff.
Yeah.
But somebody else can't be drunk.
Yeah.
And you'll bring it up the whole season.
Yeah.
No shit.
And then it's like...
Shout out to the Grand Dame, darling.
Oh, God. Hello, darling. I'm Countess Luann. I enjoy the elegance and class of the city. Why she goes out and fucks a 22-year-old. I'm like, girl.
You're not supposed to say that because she's loyal to her husband, allegedly.
Oh, the Count? Well, I loved it when she got on and she's like, darling, she's like, one time in Morocco, he was there for the Marrakesh Grand Prix. So I showed up in my kohl eyeliner and in a hijab and knocked on the door and pretended like I was a Moroccan princess. I'm like, what? What? I'm like, so you purposely went there to be another woman and he hook it hook, line, and sinker, and you think that was romantic? Yeah. I'm like, good Lord.
Oh, no.
He wasn't on the show, please. No, and then he went on there. And then the next thing you know, they're getting divorced, and the whole Countess, like, Elegance is learned bullshit went out the window. And I'm like, you're fucking a 23-year-old pirate. Yeah. And we're
pirate is
yes. I'm like, we all know, like, Luann, the jig is up.
The jig is up, baby. You've been caught.
Yeah. You've also been remarried, so you're not the Countess
It's also these
anymore.
things where it's like we feel like everybody knows, but nobody says anything, and it's just like we're just waiting for the moment. We're just waiting.
Yeah, and it's like one of those things where I feel like Housewives is done also because you're getting now the new Housewives. They grew up watching the Housewives. They know how the game is played.
Yeah.
So it's that type of stuff happening.
Oh, you asked me about reality shows. I did watch Wags.
I didn't watch Wags. Was it good?
Wives and Girlfriends of Sports Stars. I don't know which I don't know which Wags I watched. I can't remember. Was it Miami? Because then they started doing different cities. But I did watch Wags.
Because that was like the E channel version of Housewives.
And like you said, like they have like these one season wonders. Yeah. Wags season 1 was good. The original, whatever city it was in. I can't even
Do you watch Basketball Wives?
No, I don't watch Basketball Wives.
Basketball Wives LA is good, especially when you get Tammy Roman.
Okay.
You get fucking Evelyn Lozada.
Okay.
And then you get freaking Jackie Curtis or Jackie Christie. I forget her name. Jackie on there is just.
I've heard of Jackie. It's on my list. Basketball Wives and Married to Medicine.
Yep, Married to Medicine. I watched a few times. I'm kind of getting over like that style of reality television.
Okay. What do you think the new style is going to be? Like, what do you think to be successful in reality TV now?
I think you have to be hyper real now. I think it's one of those things where you have to be brutally authentic. People, because we all know what's going on. You can't pull the wool over our eyes. Production can't do tricks. You have to be authentic. You have to show everything, and you have to be willing to be ugly on camera, to show sides of you that you don't really want shown in your public side. Work through it. I think you have to have open and honest conflict. You can't be self-producing. You can't, and you also can't go on there just solely to sell a product.
This is not, I don't know if this counts as reality TV or game show TV, but I just watched Love Island season 6.
Was it good? I've never got into them.
Not that I even watched season 1 through 5. I told you I keep up with stuff. Even if I don't watch it, like I will keep up. I would be like, okay. I know Love Island was big in the UK, so I just used to keep up. I never used to watch it. But they were like, oh yeah, guys, Love Island USA season 6 is kind of good. So I watched it early on. It just blew up. It just exploded.
What's on the show? Is it just like people?
Is
it people getting drunk and fighting, fucking?
It's a game show where men and women come together. It's basically you find love, you partner with somebody. If you're single, you're getting eliminated.
Oof.
But this season was so
I gotta
good.
watch it because Ariana Madix from Vanderpump Rules
she did host. Ariana Madix did host Love Island season 6. This season was so good. This is the first Love Island that I've seen where the people became celebrities after.
Really?
I'm telling you.
Are they following that like Bachelor Nation thing?
Not really. I think it's a little bit different. It's more like they got authentic fans.
Because Bachelor, I never got into the Bachelor.
I've never.
Well, also I kept finding out that like people had to sign like disclosures that they have herpes.
That's the difference. I think.
Like, ugh.
It's different from The Bachelor, where The Bachelor is just like, it comes out a few years later, like, oh, this wasn't real. The producers maybe do that.
Yeah.
It's not the same.
Ugh.
Like Love Island season 6. Oh, it was
fire.
Derek, you would love it.
I would. I will watch it this weekend.
Season 6 specifically. I can't speak for the other seasons.
Mm-hmm.
Season 5 was probably good for the people people who have been watching Love Island.
Well, you know what show I used to love? This was like 20 years ago. Do you remember Temptation Island?
Oh.
That's what I love, Temptation Island.
Okay.
And I used to love The Real World.
MTV had a show called Next, a dating show.
Oh, I used to watch it. I used to come home from high school and watch it.
MTV used to be so good.
Some of the train wrecks on there. I remember one girl, she was kind of like Snooki, and like you could tell she was a fucking mess, and falls coming out of the bus, and the guy's like, next. She's like, fuck you. And I was like, oh my God.
The crazy thing about that show, I just remembered it the other day. Then they would get to like a certain point, they would get to their homes and like look through each other. You'd be looking through somebody's underwear drawer.
Yes.
Like,
oh my God. And then you'd get like the douchebags
pulling
like,
out panties, like,
yes. Or like the dudes, like there was one episode where the guy had just like jerked off. And like he used a towel as like a cum rag, and like that's when they came and kidnapped him. So he literally is in a towel, and like on the bus, and the dude finds it. It was like what? And like that show was unhinged.
Genuinely, somebody.
God.
You think somebody fell out of the bus, and the guy's like,
no, yeah, the guy instantly. The guy was like next, and the girl was pissed. And of course, she had one of those like things. And then I remember like there was that stuff where like you would find like the cum rag, or like they would kidnap the guys and they would be in the shower. And it's like the shit was nuts. Oh no, that was Room Raiders too.
Oh God, like no, MTV used to be really good.
God, there was my favorite MTV show. It was a show in like 2001. It was called MTV's Fear, and they took a group of like 16s. Like it was like they wanted to be The Real World or like Road Rules. But it was a dare show where they took them to like a haunted location for 2 nights with like, it was like pre-selfie sticks. So they had like a vest with like a camera on their face, night vision stuff. They had CCTV cameras, and they had to go and do dares in the haunted place. And it would be stuff like open yourself up and ghost write and channel the spirit of this person. And like, at first, I was like, this is kind of fake. But then, like, the more I got into ghost hunting and paranormal investigating, the more I'm like, wait a minute. They were in, like, legitimately haunted places with legitimate ghosts doing, like, horrendous things.
It makes me think, like, how TV has changed. Like,
yes.
it almost feels like producers were just like, listen, I'm pitching this show. This
was
is
the
craziest
Wild West
idea. And somebody would just be like,
let's
go for it.
Yeah. Let's take a group of 19-year-olds and lock them in a haunted place and have them do like occult practices that are not safe for $3,000. Let's do it.
Oh, that's so TLC coded. They are insane.
TLC. I can't even watch TLC.
They are insane.
Yes.
Besides the usual stuff that we know that TLC has been doing, they are still crazy. 90 Day Fiancé is insane.
Oh God.
They had a show. Oh, what was it called? They had a show.
600-Pound Sisters.
Not even.
Or no, 1,000-Pound. That show.
Not even Tammy and Amy. Not even them.
Well, when I'm sick, I'll turn on 1,000-Pound Sisters, and I'm like, those producers are like shady, like Real Housewives.
Oh yeah, they definitely are.
Like the one girl was bitching about having a cockroach in her house, and they show a cockroach grabbing at the wall while she's crying about it, and like zoom in, and I'm like, that's horrible.
They have Wendy's.
All right, guys, I'm going to end part 1 right here. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast feed to get part 2, which will be out next Thursday. And with that, guys, I'll see you next week.